It actually prevents the sound from being exposed, I guess, in that case. Nothing in this one whatsoever. So this special project is going to be done in my garage because I believe it's a simple process to do this job when the engine is actually cold, but apparently outside we have 22 degrees, give or take, which you guys can probably see. It's really cold and it's snowing, which is not really pleasant. But I'll do my best to capture as much of the footage as I can and show you how easy or how difficult it might be to install the turbo resonator delete for an LM2 2019 and up Duramax diesel, obviously 3-liter inline 6. Let's get some footage of how it sounds right now when it's in completely stock form, except in the intake. What I have done is I installed a drop-in filter, and everything else, there's no tunes, nothing on this thing. Obviously tunes are not available, so let's just see how this thing sounds right now. So now we're driving, let's say about 14 miles an hour. I got the window opened, so that way maybe you guys might be able to hear just the intake, simply because I changed the drop-in filter. It is a little bit louder, but nowhere even near. You cannot hear any spool, anything whatsoever, but here we go. That was like an ease on to the throttle. Let's try the same thing. Let's close the window. Try the same thing, but actually floor it. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Can't really hear much of the turbo or much of the induction noise at all. And the only thing we hear is basically the engine. It's a diesel, so it will be louder than a petrol or gas engine, I would say, in that case. So let's see how it sounds after we get it changed. So I've ordered this from Hill Diesel, I believe. I would have to double check just to make sure. It's a turbo resonator delete by Pacific Performance Engineering, which is PPE. It came in a small box. They shipped to UPS. It took a little bit to get here, obviously, but that's a totally different story. Comes with the pipe itself. There's nothing too special about it. It does have the locking ring, and it does have an O-ring inside, which I actually looped it prior to actually coming here, simply so it's an easy application, easy slip-on. Pipe itself, hollow on the inside. Looks pretty decent. Yes, it is a high-quality product. The actual welds are really nice. Definitely TIG welded. And the only other thing we have inside the package is the actual installation guide, which is really nice because usually you don't get this kind of treatment, I would say. But throw this shit up. Let's do it. Let's see what we have to do to get the PPE turbocharged resonator delete installed on the 3-liter Duramax diesel. To remove the cover, what you need is a 10mm socket that goes right here, and remove the cap that's right here. Step number 1, remove the cover. Step number 2 is to place your filler cap back inside, so when nothing falls inside. And looks like our pipe is right here in the back. So what we have to do is remove those two 10mm bolts right on top in order to move the sensor module, I guess it's for the knock sensor, out of the way, so that way we can get to this, and this actual bracket that holds the whole assembly together. Once the sensor is removed, I see that we have to remove three 10mm bolts. Three 10mm bolts located right here, and right there. Simply so we can pull this bracket off that's blocking the resonator, the OEM resonator itself. This bracket comes up. Here is our resonator. Resonator basically is being held by this clamp over here. It has to be unlocked, and we have to take this hose off of it so that way it can all slide out as a whole assembly. Once we have the lock removed, technically you don't have to remove it. I've removed it. What we're going to do is slide it backwards, and it should give you just enough room to be able to come off nice and easy. So now let's compare the OEM to the one that we have aftermarket. Okay, to compare the products, plastic, lot of stuff on the inside that actually prevents the sound from being exposed, I guess in that case. Nothing in this one whatsoever. The only concern I kind of have is that there is some oil. I mean, technically could be normal that there is oil inside the intake, but I didn't expect it to be as much as this. So I might have to look into it. That's why this part is being saved, just in case I need to do a warranty job on a turbo or something. Let's keep in mind that this thing is completely stock. There is nothing that has been modified on this thing whatsoever, other than this piece. What I'm doing over here is basically just to get the sound. I know it's not gonna increase any power, it might actually take power away, but this is my daily driver and my tow rig, and I would really like this thing to sound much better and sound like a actual diesel. So once we remove the holes over here, we just put it on the pipe and basically reinstall everything back together. One thing you have to keep in mind, obviously, look at this side, there's a little notch on the bottom, which you can actually see that notch right over here. There's only one way this pipe will align, and it will not move any other direction. Once you have it in, it just slides in without any problems or issues. And now you can go ahead and just tighten the clamps and do everything basically in reverse. Put all the plastic on, make it look nice and legit. So once everything is put together the way it should be, just double check that the cover doesn't fly, and you just make sure all the clamps are nice and tight, and go for a drive. But before we go for a drive, let's do a sound test, sound check before and after the eliminator. So here is after the resonator has been eliminated, deleted. Okay, it is way more noticeable as far as that after you let go of the throttle, You come out the throttle, the noise from the turbo when it actually slows down, you can hear it way more. So let's go for a test drive and see how things are sound. On idle, when the engine is running, I cannot hear any difference whatsoever. Let's see if we're going to be able to hear anything right now. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, and I'm gonna ease into it and then I'll floor it. No, I do not hear anything whatsoever. This is an actual uphill, so maybe it will be more pronounced. Go. Let the cars pass. We're not looking for any issues. And 3, 2, 1. Floor. Alright, I do not hear any difference under load. Maybe because we're not loaded and it's actually easy for the truck to get moving, but I do not hear any difference. Next step, in order to get more noise out of this engine, is probably to actually get an intake. They go for a lot of money and they do not give you much power, but it seems like that would be the next step on the list if I want to hear more turbo noises. All car enthusiasts actually like turbo noises, so I'm not gonna say I do not, because I do. As far as the installation goes, it's very straightforward, very easy. You just gotta make sure the tab that's on the pipe itself goes into the turbo neck the way it should be. That's pretty easy to do. It is a little bit dirty. No, I do not hear anything whatsoever. Let's try one more. I'll open the window a little bit. Now give it some beans. Nope, that's still a no. There is actually no sound difference if you have a stock intake system. So if you're looking to actually put this on your truck on a stock intake system, you will not hear pretty much any difference unless you're in idle and you rev it and you have the hood open, because that's when you can actually hear any difference. You can hear more of the suction noise. Obviously, maybe it will be louder with an intake, probably should be louder with an intake, but that's the next step. And I gotta think about if I actually want to change it. Seeing that I have oil in the intake system, gotta read about it, see if there's if it's supposed to be like this or not. Very easy install. Anybody can do it with basic tools. Technically you need just 10mm, a screwdriver, and that's honestly, that's it. Screwdriver and 10mm. That's all you actually need to get this thing done. This is that was an installation of the turbo resonator delete for a 3.0 Duramax diesel. Hopefully you guys found that sort of interesting and useful. You leave a comment below if you'd like, share, subscribe, and until the next video, thanks for watching. Slight next day update on the PPE turbo resonator delete. There is a little bit of more whooshing sound that I can hear, just a really little bit. So like if I go into it, see, you can't really pinpoint on the camera probably. A little bit, like when it's really quiet you can hear it more, and it's just whooshy, like kind of noise, but it's not what I was expecting. I was expecting to actually have more of turbo whistle, not just whooshing. So next step would be to actually get an intake. Gotta do my research on that and see which one is technically the best, being the worst, and put the intake on here and see if that changes the fact that it might sound better. But for the meantime, that's all we got going. Thanks for watching.